I've actually picked out a few of my own selections. I'm a bit of a flat racing enthusiast, and I've labelled this one Tommy Tips Abroad. Up to you if you want to get stuck into them. I'll give you them briefly before we get stuck into Sandown after the break. At 1:45, it's got to be Soul Power. He's the most reliable sprinter in the game. Johnny Murtagh obviously won't be jumping aboard, but what better replacement than Ryan Moore? I think he's the value compared to Shay, and you've got to get on this one. 2:25, I won't explain more than our very own Bobby Beavers has. It's soft falling rain for me in that one. You know, I've had a lot of sticks saying back to 6 furlongs and drawn in stall 14. Well, don't worry, he's won from that stall last year, and he's a double winner over 4 furlongs in South Africa, so he's certainly got the pace. Third one for me is Prince Bishop, Kieran Fallon. Strong drive of Kieran Fallon, saw this one home last time. He's also had the better of Sire De Grugy in only his second outing in France. This is a pretty special horse, and at the prices, he's a good one for me. And lastly, it's L'Amour de la Veille, had the better of Flotilla and the Godolphin Star. Certify last time out. Gets the mare's allowance. Really think L'Amour de May is got all the value there. Something like 11-2 or 5-1, which I think is quite ridiculous for a horse of this price. We'll go from left to right, and I'll start with you, Mr. Bowler. You are the man in form, aren't you? I think you're top of our tipster table at the moment, which we might be able to get up in the meantime. But Will Bowler, fire away and tell us exactly what you're backing today.
Right, Will's wagers today, we've got 4 today. We start with Regal Encore in the Imperial Cup at 3:15 at Sandown. I think he's very well handicapped off a mark of 130. Hopefully he's got out the other side of the yard bug that's been going on. They've had very few runners lately, so hopefully Regal Encore can show his best today in that 3:15. Time order next, 4:40, Joe Ella at Wolverhampton in the 4:40. Second start for John Quinn this afternoon. He books Robert Winston today and puts a first-time hood on as well. Robert Winston's got a strike rate of 3 from 17 when he rides for John Quinn in the last 5 seasons. He replaces Joe Doyle, a £7 claimer who rode him last time. Arkin in the 5 o'clock at Sandown. Didn't stay 3 miles at Doncaster last time. Back down to his same track and trip as his last win, which was, of course, in distance 2 starts ago. Hopefully he can go well. And Minella Online in the last race at Chepstow, a very well handicapped horse trained by Rebecca Curtis, who's up to 3 miles for the first time today, and it's bound to suit.
Cheers, Will. We'll all be keeping a keen eye on them, as I hear you are actually £40 up to the level pound stake, which is a phenomenal punting figure considering you're just a commentator, better than anybody else on the panel. But Bobby, you know, you talk the talk. Can you punt the punt? Let's hear what your bets are today.
But you know what, I really do hope so. I've currently got a 50% strike rate on the table. But yeah, my Bobby's Beauties. I've called them Bobby's Beauties. We'll start at Chepstow in the 3:20. I've gone for Corky Island, and that's for trainer Chris Gordon, and Mark Goldstein takes the ride today for the first time. Pick this horse because I think he can improve after his handicap debut. At Wolverhampton in the 3:30 in the maiden, I've gone for Anipa for trainer Roger Varian and Andrea Azanti. This is a filly to See the Stars, and obviously See the Stars was one of the greatest flat horses for me we've seen of our time, which obviously the wins included for him was the Derby and the Arc de Triomphe, and I expect her to lose her maiden today. At Ayr in the 3:40, I've gone for Little Glenshee, who won at Ayr last time out and was also 3rd in this race last year. I'm going to challenge Will in his selection for the Sandown at 5 o'clock. Sorry, Will, I'm challenging you. I shouldn't really be challenging him when he's got like a £40-50 strike rate at the minute. But I'm going to go for Ice and Easy for Charlie Longston and Noel Feely. And I'll potentially get back to form after his recent flop.
Yeah, cheers, Bobby. Really interested on that Anipa there, the first time for Roger Varian. It's also one of my selections, which we'll get up in a second. But this is the one we wait for, isn't it? It's Billy Blakeman. Let's have your puns, please, Billy.
As everyone sort of knows, I like to be top of the tipping table, so I'm not very pleased that Will's ahead of me. So I'm going to make some ground today, definitely. Some of these are going to win. The first one is our Wolves in the 2:55, and it's a horse called Whispering Warrior. This horse is a prolific winner on the all-weather and the grass, a really, really nice type. He made his seasonal debut at Lingfield last time. He was about 7 wide. I thought I was watching a speedway race. He was flying around the bend so wide, but he finished really, really well under the £7 conditional. He's got Jim Crowley on board today. Nice draw in stall 3, and I think Whispering Warriors is a very good bet at Wolves. Moving to Sandown, 3:15 Imperial Cup. Baltimore Rock, it doesn't need any further talking for me about how well the Pipe's doing this traditionally. Baltimore Rock has been ridden quite quietly, I've felt, and he's been sort of crept into his races, and he's, to me, won with a bit in hand, and I think I'd be very surprised if he hasn't got more improvement to come, so I think he's a good bet. The danger, I think, is Gassing Golf in that. 3:55 Chepstow, really like this one. Simply Wings for Richard Lee. He's kind of horse that's often, usually thereabouts. He's often second or third, but he can win. He's had a nice 70-day break, so he's nice and fresh today. I like a Richard Lee horse coming back from a break. Is always a good thing for me. He's quite well handicapped. He hasn't always shown his best form at Chepstow, but he will go on the ground. And I think Consigliere is worth taking on at 6-4. He's about 4 or 5 to 1 this morning. Simply Wings. That'd be my third one. Moving on, 4:40 Wolves. Going to take on one of Wolves again, I think, with Clockmaker. Hayley Turner. Been a couple of nice winners for me this week with Glastonbury and Desert Strike. Clockmaker isn't really a 6-furlong horse. He is a 7-furlong horse. And he's dropping back to 6, which hasn't worked in the past, but he travels really powerfully over 7. He pulls hard, and I just think if they go a good pace, he's got the class. He's a sort of 100+ rated all-weather handicap, and he's down to 87. I'm just hoping Hayley can get him into it late.
Cheers, Billy. Richard Lee, arguably a trainer to watch today with Gassing Golf, and also your selection there, Simply Wings. Not a trainer to watch, but certainly a punter to watch, and he's over stuck in Twitter corner all on his own. But over there, Sam Boswell, can we have your Sam Superstar tips or whatever you like to call it today, please?
I'll call them anything if they're winners, to be perfectly honest with you, Tom. Not bothered. To be perfectly honest, guys, I was getting some stick this morning because apparently I only tip shorties, and I have put one in there today. I'm going to be guilty of it, but a 56% strike rate, I'm not going to moan. The one I want you to look at, and I wouldn't say necessarily as a punting option, it should win, but watch the race, is the 550 over in Ireland. It's a bumper for point horses. This one's been bought by Gigastown Stud. We all know their record, £290,000 was the purchase price. If you read the report of the point this horse won, it did very well to get back from a position where it wasn't going to win the race, having led. It really impressed me just reading that through. Nice breeding. Take a look at it. It's a race to take some horses out of, possibly. It's the 550 at Gorham Park. Also, the 130 at Sandown, arguably bit of a short price now as well, but the horse should win. Oliver Sherwood said last night at a preview night it needs to win to get into Cheltenham. It's got a nice, easy-ish looking race. I can't see too many dangers in there. Maybe the Gary Moore one, a little bit of a price. But yeah, that one should take all the beating. We've also got Upper Air. I've gone on to pick a Crawford horse that's taken the ferry across. You've got Mr. Filson there. Again, good point form. I don't think this is the most competitive of races to be winning. I'm not necessarily saying the horse is nailed on, but I'm confident it should give a bold show, and it's not got that much danger to it in the field of its rivals. Finally, I get some stick about tipping shorties, so why not go for a 33 to 1 shot in the Imperial Cup? Little John, like I say, the form isn't great. Second to Clipto, obviously one of the Triumph market leaders. I'm hoping big field, bit of improvement to be brought out the horse. I know it's been reported by the trainer today the horse is for sale, and it's got 2 entries in the handicaps at Cheltenham, so it'd be like all the others, trying to nab a nice big bonus by taking on and winning the Imperial Cup. Keep your jumper doubles coming in. I'll read some out in the next segment when Tom comes back to me, but I'll hand you back over for some previews.
The moment that you ask Sam Boswell not to pick shorties, what he does, he puts them all in a hat, pulls one out, and then he asks the production team just simply to put each way in brackets for him, just in case it really doesn't get up to much. Here's my selections for the day. Yes, you're plain and simple. Tommy tips, 2 from Sandown and 2 from Wolves. Okay, we won't go for Tommy's tips. Well, we will, sorry. Tommy tips, yeah, 130 at Sandown, Carry On Sydney. I am actually agreeing with Mr. Boswell over there. I just feel, he's going to have to win today if he wants to get anywhere near Cheltenham, and I had him down as a good pick in the Fred Winter anyway, so Carry On Sydney seems an obvious selection. 3:15, one is a bit left field, looking at about 12 to 1 at the moment, which is New Year's Eve. John Ferguson hasn't got a very good record round Sandown. However, this this one was second to Champagne Fever a couple of years ago in the Champion Bumper, and had a very off 2013, but now he's refitted with the headgear, and he seems to be back in the game after a couple of back-to-back wins. 220 at Lingfield, Intransigent. Now this really is the one. Kieran Fallon was trying to push this one home over in Dubai for its last 3 starts, and sadly seemed a little outclassed over in the Gulf. But I think Intransigent back at Wolverhampton. I mean, remember the goal for difference there. Maiden Wolverhampton is Intransigent for me today in the 220 at Lingfield. Lastly, Bobby Beavers has already done all the talking about this one. A nipper, obviously bred by See the Stars. First time out for Roger Varian, and Roger Varian and Andre Azzini have got the highest strike rate at Wolverhampton.